Welcome to the Right Time Podcast. The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
The bad guy's back, kiddos. Welcome to the Right Time with Bomani Jones on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and Sirius XM Channel 80. My name is Clinton Yates, filling in here on a Friday, and ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Of course, all guests appear on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and if you dare step in my dojo, you can hit me up on the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed, at ESPN Radio, at Clinton Yates. You all know the rules. If you come incorrect on my feed, I will embarrass you in front of your friends and your family, and I will not apologize. I've been eating fruits and vegetables all day, and I feel very good. I spilled salad dressing on my van, so I'm a little upset, which should make for a good show. But please do hit me up. And if you want to call us, 888-ESPN, 888-729-3776. It's that time of year, y'all. We're finally here. After 3 months of listening to everybody talk about what they were and weren't going to do surrounding this fight, every media member in America is in Las Vegas, Nevada. People are wearing sunglasses on TV shows while they're sitting outside. But your boy's back at home. I ain't there. I can't decide what I'm going to do, y'all. Do I want to brave the crowds? Do I want to go pay $20 and be amongst a bunch of dudes wearing tight T-shirts telling me about all the fights they've watched? Or do I want to go to somebody's house and sit through an undercard full of nonsense that I don't care about just in order to watch one fight at 1 in the morning so I can get back home at like 2 or 3? East Coast ain't really forgiving of these boxing fans. Or am I going to sit at home and watch a college football game, then take a little micro nap and wake up and watch the fight? That'll cost me $100. So I'm having some tough decisions. Do I spend $100 on this? Or do I go out to somebody's house? Because the thing is, after you add all that up, time, irritation, booze, food, we're getting toward the $100 mark if I'm out all night. And I'm not just going to pop out for the last bout. That doesn't make any sense, and you can't even calculate that if you tried. It's a serious trade-off, but I also realize that there's no way I'm not going to be able to watch the fight. Because I also happen to host another show. It's called The Morning Roast. It's on Sunday mornings, 9 a.m. to noon. Myself, Dominic Foxworth, and Mina Kimes, who you'll hear on this program later. Let's quickly run over the guest list. Myron Medcalf of ESPN is going to join us to talk about Mayweather-McGregor. Also, don't forget, we got a pretty big-time college football game we got happening Saturday. So we're going to get to that. That's at 4:15. At 4:45, my man Master Tesfatsion from the Washington Post is going to join us to talk about the Browns' anthem protest. If you haven't seen his latest story, he had the inside track on how all of that developed. You might remember that Hugh Jackson made some weird comments that got, I don't want to say taken out of context, but misinterpreted, at least from his standpoint. He's the head coach there, and he's a brother, so that matters. We'll get into that. 5 o'clock, Max Kellerman's going to join us. He was one of the individuals wearing sunglasses on TV today. He had a nice little polo going on, short sleeve joint. Max looking kind of diesel as well. Bulked up for the fight. I'm kidding. And Sal Powell's going to join us as well at 5:30. He's obviously in Vegas. We got a heavy Vegas show, so if you're not interested in this fight, you're going to be after today. And, of course, Mina Kimes is going to join us later. Take a look at the Seahawks as well as fight weekend. But, yeah, y'all, I'm torn. I'm genuinely torn about what to do, and I need your help. 1-888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. And let's put it on the poll at ESPN Radio. Should I, Clinton Yates, stay home and buy this fight, or should I wade out amongst the masses to watch it and enjoy what will be the most boring bout of the year in public? It's a tough question. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Because here's the other thing. I'm not going to buy the fight and ask other people to come over to my house. I ain't doing that. I love my squad. I love people, but these bad boys are just too late. I don't like kicking people out of my house like that. If you're coming over, you're going to stay, and I ain't got that much room. So I'm going to buy it and sit at home like an idiot and watch this thing. If some of you tuned in to me filling in on the Dan Le Batard show a couple weeks ago, You might have heard that I paid $100 to go to a WNBA game. So I'm not averse to dropping an unnecessary amount of money to watch something I don't necessarily care about, but I might like. 888-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Clint Yates filling in here on the right time for Bomani Jones on a Friday. Brian in Nebraska, how you going to watch this bad boy?
I'm not gonna watch it. I'm not gonna pay for it. I'll probably end up watching it on YouTube, honestly, because I mean, as much as I want Conor McGregor to win and win with a landslide, I just there's a part of me that thinks that it's gonna be just the S show.
Brian, let me ask you this. Do you have a regular Sunday social function that you have to attend, a la a church, a la a practice, a la some sort of social club, never mind a national radio show, in which if you show up not having informed yourself or not having seen what happened, you are going to be behind the curve as to everybody else's conversation?
Well, as a Husker fan, if you don't know Husker football, get out of my house.
All right. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate the phone call. 1-888-ESPN, 888-729-3776. I am leaning toward buying the fight. I'm not going to lie. This is the hermit in me that likes this option. I'm also leaning toward, I wish there was some way that you could opt out. Like, you know what I wish was an option? I wish I could buy it and then go out and then say, you know what, tired of this, going home to watch the end. But if I didn't ever actually turn it on, I wouldn't get charged, or I would get charged like $30. I would pay $20 to $30 to just have the option to turn that bad boy on. And if I did, boom, bang me for $100. But if I don't have to pay the whole thing. This seems like it would be reasonable. And I'll bet you a lot of people would do that. Because you can get out there and you can say, you know what, let me see what these clowns are about. Let's see what people are doing in these streets. I'll go check it out. But then if you get out there, fight pops off. And by fight, I mean some pugilism inside of the place you happen to be. I don't mean the one on TV. Or some otherwise untoward happens, you can bounce. But you're covered. It's like a little insurance policy. I got pay-per-view progressive thinking for you right here tonight. 888-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Stu in Indiana. Yes, I waited this late to make plans.
All right, well, you're waiting too long to make your plans, though. The last hour, you got to be ready for this.
I mean, look, I'm a game time decisions kind of guy, and I'm waiting for something crazy to break in order to convince me that I should buy this. Have you been locked in the whole time?
Yeah, we've been locked in, me and my buddies, for about a month now.
What's your setup going to be? Is it going to be your house, his house, you guys all pitched in?
Buddy's house, everybody pitches in. We do that for all the UFC fights anyway, so everybody's got their fighter. Me personally, it's Mayweather in 7.
Okay, thanks for the phone call. That's a good setup. If you have a regular routine, I understand how this falls into the regular routine. I don't have a regular routine. I don't really watch boxing. I may or may not happen to be out when a UFC fight comes on, and I will then thus change my eyes toward it, but I'm not normally doing this. Let's hear what Teddy Atlas had to say about whether or not McGregor could revert to UFC form.
Plan A or Plan B might be for him to come in low or kick or whatever, get Floyd on the floor, pound and ground him, win, get disqualified, pay the fines, put his arms up in the air, and proclaim himself the emperor of the universe in all combat sports. And you know what? Who knows? He might even have a signed contract with some bad boy promotional company that's paying him $20 million if he does that. And even if he doesn't do it, his brand, yeah, he loses. Technically. He wins, though. His brand goes through the roof.
This is such a long conspiracy theory from Teddy. I mean, he went all the way around on that. He didn't just look at second after rounding first. He was coming out of the box hard, dug in and coming around second. Head first slide and the third ball got away, he trotted home. That was a full-blown conspiracy theory from Teddy that I'm only halfway there with him on. If Conor decides to go UFC, It's not going to get all the way to him winning the fight and throwing his hands up in celebration and collecting some check from some side goon company, Pulp Fiction style. In the fourth, your butt goes down. It ain't going to be all that. What's going to happen, and what your boy Yatez is rooting for, is that McGregor's going to get frustrated and he's going to throw a quick roundhouse to Mayweather's head, and we will have a 40-man brawl in the ring, thus making a mockery of the proceedings, making the purse far smaller for everybody involved, and making everything more entertaining for people who do not otherwise care about either one of these individuals. You want entertainment? If McGregor goes UFC, you best believe Mayweather's corner is coming out of there faster than any of those guys in that dugout in Detroit did. Trust me on that. And because I happen to find both of these two individuals somewhat despicable, I'm actively rooting for chaos. Straight ahead, Myron Medcalf is holding down the Bristol coverage of the fight, and we're going to talk about college football, which gets underway this weekend. He's next. I'm Clinton Yates in for Bomani Jones. It's The Right Time on ESPN Radio.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Almost fight night, but this is The Right Time with Bomani Jones on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and SiriusXM Channel 80. My name is Clinton Yates, filling in here on a Friday. Got a lot going on this weekend. Fight night, obviously, between Conor McGregor and Money Mayweather. Got a little college football as well that we got to talk about. And joining us is ESPN's Myron Medcalf on the Shell Penzo Performance Line. We'll get to college football later, Myron, but I have a very important question for you. Should I or should I not buy this fight?
You got to buy the fight, man. You got to buy the fight if for no other reason, man. You got to be able to say you saw it. Like, you don't want to show up Monday morning and not know what happened. That's
Monday morning, I got a show on Sunday morning. So I got to see it.
You got to see it, man. You got to buy it.
What do you think about this theory that there should be some sort of like tiered insurance policy where you can buy it for $100, but if you don't actually turn it on, you only get charged like $30. So like I could go out, and in case I'm having a bad time, I could just go home and then turn it on. That's what I wish I had an option for, but I don't.
Yeah, that's not how it works. You're either all in or you're out. You know what I mean? But think about all the bad things we pay for, concerts and movies and all kinds of stuff. But this, at the very least, will be a show. I mean, it might not be a great fight, but at the very least, I think this will be an event unlike anything maybe we've ever seen.
Yeah, that's sort of where I'm at, and I feel like if I see enough, even in these undercards that I'm probably not going to care about and all this other stuff, I'm going to have enough fun. What are you expecting to see at this point? I know you've been gearing up for it. You're doing a lot of the coverage on ESPN Radio and some other stuff. What are you sort of expecting at this point, considering all of the weird twists and turns we've seen this bout take between the glove stuff, between the weigh-in stuff, you know, between this UFC grapple sort of rule and this referee? Where are you expecting this to go right now?
I don't know. I think Conor will make weight, but I think a lot of people don't understand that in boxing, you know, you're only going to make weight for 5 seconds. I think Conor will be huge tomorrow. I think he's going to outweigh Floyd Mayweather by, you know, anywhere from 10 to 15 pounds, maybe more. And I think that size advantage will be very interesting. He's going to be definitely the bigger, stronger guy in there. And I think in the first round, he's going to come out looking like a fighter. He's going to throw punches. He's going to be aggressive. And I think a lot of people are going to get hyped up into thinking that Conor can pull out the upset based on just his energy in the first round. But I think come second round, Floyd would just start toying with him, man. It's night and day, you know, trying to decide like what a guy without a professional fight, how he's even in the ring with a Floyd Mayweather, and people who think that he can actually compete. It's actually crazy, man. But he has a chance. We'll see. We'll see how he performs.
What do you think about Mayweather guaranteeing a knockout? This is not something that he does, not remotely. Most of his fights are not knockouts. They're boring to watch. Do you think this was just some more fight palaver, or is this actually even possible?
I think he's going to knock him out just because he's going to pile up so many punches. Like, here's the thing. You know, no, he's not like a one-shot knockout guy like Mike Tyson or George Foreman was back in the day. But if you hit the dude 1,000 times in the same place on his face, eventually you're going to wear him down. And I think that's the thing with Floyd Mayweather is he's so precise, he's so accurate. He is not going to waste any punches in there. And when you have a tired Conor McGregor who by the second or third round realizes that this is not the UFC and he is at a complete disadvantage, it's not just the physical element, it's the mental element in boxing. And I think Floyd will just put him in a position where he just doesn't have anything left. and he'll hit him with something, and it'll put him out. I think he'll get the knockout in the first 4 rounds.
We're talking with ESPN's Myron Medcalf here on The Right Time with Bomani Jones. Clinton Yates filling in here on a Friday. Look, if Conor wins, Teddy Atlas has said that he thinks this would be a massive blow for boxing from a reputation standpoint, amongst other things. Do you agree with that as much as nobody seems to think he has a chance?
Yeah, they would kill boxing. I mean, you got to imagine, this is the face of boxing. This is the current Mike Tyson, the guy who controls the sport, the most important guy in the sport. If somebody comes in without any professional experience and beats Floyd Mayweather, that is the end of boxing. Every single boxer in the sport will suffer if that happens, because the people who already think that boxing is a joke, they'll have confirmation. I think the few people who are hanging on and backing the sport, I think they'll even have their doubts. There'll be diehards like me who will always follow it. But in terms of a mainstream sport, it'll be the biggest embarrassment in boxing history if he loses, and I think that would dramatically affect the sport.
Right, but Myron, I mean, come on, he's 40 years old, and also I think that there's an argument to say that boxing is not a mainstream sport. You know, if people already view it on the fringes, this kind of a freak show happening, I think, would be a point to the fact that it's actually good, and you can't just walk in there as an old guy and expect to beat somebody with no experience.
Yeah, but I mean, the top guys are still mainstream. I mean, Manny Pacquiao and Floyd did 4.6 million pay-per-view buys. This one is expected to hit 5 million. The age thing, I think, matters when we're talking about a guy who's not an elite athlete. We're talking about Floyd Mayweather, a guy who's been doing this since he was a little kid, a guy who has never lost a fight. You know, this is not Man and Juice fighting in the park at the 4th of July family reunion. This is a dude who has been in the ring for 30-plus years, right? This is a dude who's been in the ring for 30-plus years. Listen, you could get some strong 20 or 25-year-old off the street and put him in a ring with Evander Holyfield right now. Guess what? Evander Holyfield will still put hands on you after 50. These guys are professionals. This is what they know. This is what they do. The age is not going to matter. Floyd's in tremendous shape. And again, he is 49-0. He's been doing this since he was a kid. He has instincts that Conor McGregor couldn't learn if he fought for 10 years in the ring. He has every single advantage. Age ain't nothing but a number.
We're talking with ESPN's Myron Medcalf. Let's switch gears to college football, another thing you cover. We got a couple of big games this weekend. Michigan, Florida is obviously not the same tilt as Alabama, Florida State, but it's a big game. Talk to me about both of those. We got Jimbo Fisher facing off against Nick Saban for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, with Florida, Michigan, I think the thing with Jimbo right now is it's not that people, I think, doubt him. I said Florida, Michigan. I meant
you meant Florida State,
Alabama. It's not that people, doubt who he is as a coach, but I think this is kind of the year where you go, okay, DeAndre's back. You've got all these talented pieces. Derwin James is healthy. You got all these guys who I think defensively, athletically, if you're going to match up with Alabama, a team that lost, I think, 9 guys off their defense from last season, this is the year. So I think this is one of those situations where if you're in that category, you have a great chance to make a stand early in the season. And I think this is one of those games where it's vital for both teams. Let's say Alabama wins. Not only does that matter, but it matters how Florida State plays the rest of the way. So you don't want to just beat Florida State and then find out they haven't lived up to the hype. You want to beat a good Florida State team that ends up competing in the ACC and winning the ACC, because that's going to help you in the college football playoff. But I think the Saban-Jimbo thing is going to be an amazing matchup and a fun matchup with just those personalities.
All right. He's Myron Medcalf. You're going to see him and hear him all over fight coverage this weekend. Thank you, Myron.
Thank you.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Dusty Baker is the coolest manager in the major leagues. Go to Twitter to find out why. You're listening to The Right Time with Bomani Jones on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and SiriusXM Channel 80. My name is Clinton Yates, filling in here on a Friday. Right now, it's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Give me a phone call, 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. I'm trying to decide if I want to buy this fight. I don't know yet. We got a poll on the WinnieHunterFlowers.com Twitter feed, at ESPN Radio. Hit me up at Clinton Yates. Going to read some tweets now. At Clinton Yates, don't stay home. If the fight isn't good, at least you might have a good time out. That's a good point. That's a nice entry into this discussion. I might make some new friends. I got enough friends, though. And I like my house. But I like that idea. You save yourself something just in case you have a good time socially. At Clinton Yates, if you go out, make sure you're not in mixed company with mixed drinks. Not really sure what that means. At ESPN Radio, there should be an if he can expense it option. Good point. There's not, though. This would be a personal decision. Although I do have to watch it for work, so I should be able to figure that out. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Jeff in Seattle. What's up?
Thanks for taking my call, man.
No problem.
Look, like you got to do what you got to do, but I'm just going to say personally, there is not a snowball's chance in hell that I'm going to watch this fight in any way, shape, or form. And I know that both these guys are going to get paid no matter what my piddly little contribution is, but I don't want to put even $1 into either one of their pockets. I think now more than ever we live in a world where you speak with your money and your affiliations and what you associate with, and I don't want to have anything to do with either of those guys. So I'm out completely. I'm going to be watching college football.
Jeff, let me ask you this question. How far do you typically vet where you spend your dollars on things that go beyond just boxing matches?
Man, to be honest, I know this isn't a politics show. I didn't care as much until last November, and now to be honest, I care a lot more. Like I pay a lot closer attention to where the money trail ends up and what that looks like, because that's the only way really that we can affect change is with our pocketbooks. That's the only way we can make a statement, because there's billions of people on Twitter, there's billions of people on Instagram, Facebook. The only way that I can stand for anything is by saying, I'm not giving you my money. It's mine. I'm not letting it, make its way into their pockets. And so anyway, that's my personal take, man.
Thanks for the phone call, Jeff. That was a good phone call. Take notes, y'all. Informative. Got through the follow-up question with a real deal reply about his real life. That was a good phone call. 888-ESPN, 888-729-3776. More money will have been bet on the Floyd Mayweather-Conor McGregor fight than any other boxing match in history by the time the opening bell rings on Saturday night. It's already the most heavily bet fight ever at some sports books from Nevada to the UK. On Thursday night, roughly 48 hours before the fight, William Hill Sportsbooks in Nevada had taken more money on Mayweather-McGregor than they did on the 2015 McGregor bout with Manny Pacquiao, which was the previous most heavily bet fight. I don't gamble, so I ain't putting no money on nothing. But I can't decide if I want to buy this bad boy. Do I go out with the squad? Do I mingle with the commoners? I said the commoners, I'm joking. I am a commoner. I don't go to the VIP. I don't do none of that. Or do I stay home and chill? Make some soup, some stews. Hang out, listen to my record player. Watch a little football. And then by the time the fight comes on, I'm ready. I'm chilling. I'm not all fired up and hammered off of RBVs. Ready to fight somebody like all the other dudes that are going to be in there. 888-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Jeff in SoCal, what's up?
Hey, what's up, man? I was calling. Some of the venue tickets are $100,000, so $100 isn't really that much. But I was calling to compare it to a movie called Never Back Down. I mean, you take somebody out of the octagon. I mean, imagine if Mayweather was stepping up to Floyd and saying, I'll take you in the octagon. Everybody would know instantly what's going to happen. But you're taking somebody out of the octagon that knows every style of fighting and has trained all his life in different forms of fighting, and you're putting him into a boxing ring where maybe Mayweather knows boxing and maybe at best street fighting, if that, But when you kind of compare it to the movie, it's like, is he gonna use different, style of approaching in his boxing? But it's like putting a gorilla in the ring with, All
right, thanks, Jeff. Goodbye. We got to stay on topic here, y'all. Followed up a great phone call with a bad phone call. I need to know what you think about me buying this fight and what your setup is going to be. I don't need crazy comparisons of animals to humans. These are two dudes fighting each other. They're not gorillas. 888-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Corey, you're on ESPN Radio.
Going on, coming at you from Atlanta.
No doubt.
I guess I'll make a point and then ask you a question. First thing, I think the $100 bill is kind of like the new 20, so I think it's worth
Excuse me.
$20 on the. I mean, I don't make a whole lot of money at all, but I do think $100 in the grand scheme of things, in the grand scheme of a month, a monthly budget, I think it's worth it. Anyway, real question is going to a friend's house to watch the fight. He's actually the one buying the fight. He's got $4,000 on Mayweather.
Whoa!
Got any tips for etiquette being around him? We always like to give each other crap.
These are my tips. These are my tips. First of all, you find a way to get a piece of clothing that says 4K on it somehow, so that he is constantly reminded that he has plopped down this kind of money just in case it comes back to bite him. And you make sure that the odds are well known to everybody in the house, and you have a tacit agreement amongst everybody who's not him to root against him. You're betting $4,000 on Mayweather? How much do you win on that? I don't even understand the math.
When he made the bet, we both went to Georgia Tech. He knows math really well. He's a good gambler. He puts all emotion aside. Wrote a couple articles. I'm proud of him because really, I mean, he's putting his money where his mouth is. He thinks there's value here. No emotion in it at all. He sees value. Thinks there's no chance that McGregor wins. So, I'm proud of him for making the bet because he's ponying up. But
all right, thanks for the phone call. I hear you. $4,000 is a lot of money to bet on a fight that's that one-sided. I still haven't made a decision yet, but I can tell you one thing: the $20 bill. The $100 bill is definitely not the new $20 bill. I ain't balling like that. I guess that's why my nickname ain't Money. Straight Talk Wireless. Nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE network. Straight ahead, the Browns made a statement last week with the biggest player anthem protest to date. We'll discuss that next. I'm Clint Yates, filling in for Bomani Jones. It's The Right Time on ESPN Radio.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
I'm Clint Yates, filling in here on a Friday, and ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. On the line right now is Master Tesfatsion from the Washington Post on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. We got to talk about this story. Headline, how the youngest team in the NFL staged its largest national anthem protest. You guys remember seeing the Cleveland Browns getting together as a group on a sideline, some kneeling, some holding shoulders. It wasn't just an impromptu decision from a couple of those guys before the game started. It was deep-rooted. It went back to the coach. It went all the way up the line, and the homie Master broke it down in this story. Master, tell me from the beginning when you started on this and how it sort of developed and when you knew this was going to be a big deal.
I was only down there in Cleveland for only one day. So I worked on it while I was down there on Wednesday. And just, it was basically just based off the reaction of it. We've never seen that many athletes demonstrate during the national anthem since Colin Kaepernick first did it last year during the preseason game. And it was just interesting to try and find out exactly why so many people were interested in doing something, what caused that, and essentially what they were going to do from there, which at that time they were still trying to figure out because they still needed to meet together and that. And so the answer obviously was to try and speak out on the racial injustice or the racial issues that are going on in America right now and fueled by the situation that happened in Charlottesville.
Master, the other thing is that the youth factor here. How much of a role do you think that played into it? These are young guys. They probably feel a little bit more empowered, but they also might be a little closer to this in many ways because of all of the reaction across the country. How much do you think the age of the roster mattered here?
Yeah, I think it did play a certain factor. Just because, again, like you mentioned as well, just they're more aware and something that they didn't touch on, but also when you got these rookies or second-year guys, they're locked into their rookie contract as a 4-year deal. So, if a franchise already invested a second-round pick in you or a third-round pick, or do you use it as an important piece in their building block, especially in the situation with the Browns where they specifically decided to go extremely young with their roster and just build up on the draft and just stockpile draft picks, it's difficult for a team to quickly move on from them, if that makes any sense. And so whereas like where you see veterans, essentially they have 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the league, and their career could at any moment, and they're basically attempting to try and get as much money as they can while they still can, because there are very few situations that they will be in that will pay as much money as the NFL does. So that was part of it was interesting, and also just having you understand that obviously young people grew up in a digital age where social media always gave you a platform to speak out and show you that your voice, that someone will listen, whoever your followers are, how many followers you might have, someone will listen. But also the culture there is it's just a very tight knit group, is what I just kept hearing from the players and the people there as well. And just because you've had a young team that's had to rely on each other and go through a lot as they did last year, that that adversity that they faced was something that has bonded them in a way that, you know, they care about each other enough to know that, you know, whether it's a white athlete or a black athlete, that if someone's going through something, that they want to be there to support them.
He's Master Tesfatsion. He joins us on the show, Pennzoil Performance Line. He writes for the Washington Post. I want to ask you about that, though. Seth DeValve, he was the first white guy to basically take a knee. In addition, his wife came out and wrote something that said, don't look at him as a white savior. How did that, from your vantage point, sort of go over with everybody? And just sort of, you know, what do you think the ripple effect is going to be of that across the league?
Yeah, his wife wrote a really nice piece on Very Smart Brothers, basically saying, you know, she was happy for him, but don't consider him as the white savior, as I believe the headline read.
Right.
And honestly, that was Seth's mentality too. He was at the podium on Wednesday speaking to the media, and you can just kind of tell that, as brief and quick as his answers were, that he didn't necessarily want to be the face of this. He specifically said that, like, this is not his fight that he's fighting as a white person. More so, it's just for him that he just wants to be an ally for this. And obviously that the feelings and understanding beyond just his obviously his wife is black, but also those of his teammates that were going through that were also African American within that locker room, was the reason why he moved, felt so moved and felt to do that. And so it'll be interesting to see how it happens from here, in terms of, obviously, with Michael Bennett calling out and saying that more white athletes need to step up and show some support. And obviously we saw in Seattle and in Philadelphia that some people have responded to that, and now in Cleveland. So it'll be interesting to see, not just here with week 3 in preseason, but also week 1 during the regular season, to see how or what these athletes do.
Last question, one-word answer, and you got to play by the rules, Master. What did you think of Dusty Baker's outfit today with that OVO hat on and the shirt?
Fire.
Thank you. He's Master Tesfatsion. He writes for the Washington Post. He joined us on this Pennzoil Performance Line. Thank you, Master.
No doubt, man.
So we're going to talk about that Dusty Baker situation later, but I do want to get back to the Cleveland Browns. First of all, if you haven't read that story, read that story, because it talks about the fact that these guys took this all the way to the top. They started discussing it in the pregame. Coach got word. They said, hey, we probably should take this to the owner just to make sure we don't have a problem. They were like, cool. So at that point, you had a franchise in a locker room that was sort of galvanized, ready to do something, and then it happened. I've said this before, and I'll say it again now. The NFL has created a proverbial monster by trying to ice out Colin Kaepernick. There's too many people who agree with him, or at very least understand what he is doing. And if you empower people who know that they've been wronged, more people will join than not. The NFL might be powerful, the NFL might be strong, and the NFL might be rich, but the NFL is not an all-ruling power. The players are going to do what they are going to do, and you wait until these touchdown celebrations start coming in and teams can do things as a group. Y'all aren't ready for 11 dudes to stand in the end zone with the black power fist in the air. Y'all ain't ready for that. And neither is any NFL owner, and most of the fans aren't either. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, comparing rates to help you save. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today and find out how much Progressive could save you. Straight ahead, First Take's Max Kellerman joins us from Vegas. Why didn't he join my man Stephen A. Smith dancing with the Jabberwockies today on First Take? We're counting down to fight night on the right time on ESPN Radio. And let me tell you this, Dusty Baker, your outfit is flames. Go check it out. I'm Clayton Yates, filling in for Bomani Jones here on the right time on ESPN Radio. It's Friday.
Thanks for listening to the Right Time Podcast. Please come back Monday for more. And don't forget to listen to the Right Time with Bomani Jones from 4 p.m. to 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Okay, Kevin, for the grand prize of $1 million, what color is the White House?
I know this.
5 seconds.
Oh, switching to Geico could save you a bunch of money on car insurance?
Okay. Judges? That's true, Kevin. They'll allow it. Congratulations. You're a winner.
Woo! Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Welcome to the Right Time Podcast. The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
My name is Clinton Yates, filling in here. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, and all guests appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. You want to hit me up? Do so via the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed, at ESPN Radio, at Clinton Yates. If you come incorrect in my mentions, I will embarrass you in front of your friends and your family. Don't be that guy with the nonsense. I'm going to get to a couple quick tweets here simply because that's what's going on. At Clinton Yates, blah, blah, blah. Browns don't have any games to worry about winning. Let's see winners focus on this garbage. Referring to the fact that the Browns decided en masse to protest the national anthem. They're winners to me as far as I'm concerned because they gathered together as a team. They sent a message they wanted to send. It's not all about wins and losses. Colin Kaepernick was trying to send a message about what's going on with police brutality and treatment in this country. You want to take a guess as to how many African Americans have been killed by police since he first protested? Hint, it's above 200. Anyway, we're talking about the fight, McGregor-Mayweather in Vegas tomorrow. Fight night it is. I can't decide if I want to buy this bad boy or not. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. What are y'all doing? You going out to the club with your boys or your girls or your homies in general, whoever they may be? You staying home. You chilling. Curled up with the dog. I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't decide if I want to spend $100 on this thing or not. 1-888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Pat in Mexico, what's up?
Well, I've got a good proposition for you. You should buy the fight, but go out. And when you're out, be cruising around, find some young lady that's totally unhappy with the situation, invite her back to the house to watch the last fight with you. Maybe romance occurs, and maybe it doesn't. But anyway, I also think Mayweather wins in 7 by default.
Pat, how are you watching the fight?
Well, down here in Cabo, we got all sorts of bars that'll have it, so I'll just find the one that's got the least amount of people in it and sit down and watch.
Thanks for the phone call. Pat suggesting the Macadocious move, if you will. Not going to go that route. Way too stressful. And not how I'm living. 888-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Paul in Hawaii, you going to buy this fight?
Hey, Mr. Yates, Clinton, aloha. You know, don't watch this, okay? This is a sham. It's Mayweather's company running this, okay? This will last one round. Mayweather's going to let McGregor knock him out, make it look quasi-MMA style, and this will be a credible way for Mayweather to invest in the MMA as a major player in the MMA. Look, boxing's dead already. They show most matches on HBO or Showtime as part of their regular lineup. MMA is what? It's all pay-per-view now, and this match it's going to be the final nail in the coffin. Look at all the hype. Okay, they've discovered new tribes in faraway lands we never heard about, who have heard about this fight. And one more thing about Kaepernick, he's simply a terrible quarterback, so that's the main reason to shut him out. Fines will happen before to those who take a knee before he comes back. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Flamed out there at the end. That was a B+ call until a terrible dismount made it a C- call. If you're going to come in with a side opinion after a lame joke, one of them's got to be fire. But I do appreciate it. Calling all the way from Hawaii. I've never been to Hawaii. I'd like to go to Hawaii. 888-ESPN, 888-729-3776. I will say this, though. Paul's conspiracy theory was excellent. He didn't go the Teddy Atlas route of the losing is still winning. He went the side route on the long con money trail route, which is actually pretty brilliant. So that might have been a bad phone call, but there was certainly a good idea there, which is pretty much makes it a wash. I hadn't thought about that, though, either. Mayweather becomes a major investor in MMA? That's a pretty good conspiracy theory, and I love a good conspiracy theory. That one was excellent. Clinton Yates filling in here on the right time with Bomani Jones on ESPN Radio. It's Friday. Can't decide if I want to buy this fight. If you want to weigh in on this, hit up the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed at ESPN Radio. Got a poll up at Clinton Yates. That's me. Want to know what you think about this. Should I cop this fight? I'm leaning towards doing so, but I also don't want to sit in my house all night. I might do a version of what Pat in Mexico suggested, just by myself. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. First, let's hear what Teddy Atlas had to say about what would happen if Conor McGregor were to actually win this bout.
We all get scared. I get scared a little bit because I care about the sport. It's a great sport. And that would really go a long way to destroying the credibility and the integrity of the sport.
This is a big deal. That's a very, very important point. Which leads that conspiracy theory down an even more despicable route. Mayweather says, I'm going to be the one to kill boxing. I'm taking all the money on the way out. And I'm going to invest in MMA, the new thing. That's a villain move of the first order. But I don't think it's that complicated. I don't know that this fight kills boxing as much as it simply puts it on a level as, I don't want to say laughable as MMA, but it just moves those two closer. I think to people who don't otherwise particularly care about one form of fighting versus another, but they are fans of sports and athletics, if an MMA guy beats a boxer, I realize that it's Floyd Mayweather, but I don't think that people are necessarily that shocked about it. I mean, sure, you're surprised that it's McGregor and Mayweather. But 40 years from now, that just might be the thing that both of these bad boys need in order to survive. People aren't going to watch each other beat each other's brains in for the rest of humanity. That's for sure. And if something's got to happen for these two things to come together as forms of pugilism, hey, maybe an upset could mean something. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Owen in Toronto, you're on the right time.
Hey, how you doing?
Tremendous.
Good. So first of all, I'll have money on the fight. I got, little easily $100, new $20 bill on Connor. Going to be watching at my buddy's place.
All right.
But anyway, I'm saying there's no reason any of us should have to pay for this fight. I think they should extend it a little bit in between rounds. We can get sponsors. They can probably get more money that way. Kind of like Super Bowl ads going down. These companies, they pay big money, so there's no reason why any of us should have to pay for this pay-per-view. People are going to pirate it, do what they want. So, yeah, that's my thought.
Let me ask you this question, Owen. Is it $100 Canadian as well up there north of the border, or is it more?
It's $100 I'm doing it online. So
okay.
I'm a dual citizen, so I still got the good old Michigan deal one for me.
Fair enough. Thanks for the phone call, Owen. Owen telling on himself right there. Don't go looking for him. Although he did mix in a callback joke to a previous caller. Good phone call. That's how you do it. Prove you've been listening to the show. Mix in a joke that maybe was funny from somebody else. If you flip it, it's definitely funny for you. That is excellent radio listening right there. That's why he got the coin. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. If y'all watched First Take this morning, you saw something glorious on your screen. They were in Vegas. I mentioned the fact that they were wearing sunglasses coming in. But before the Honorable Stephen A. Smith made his appearance, he came out dancing with the Jabberwockies. Some of you might remember Shaquille O'Neal's bit in this realm. And it was good. It was at an all-star game. I can't remember where it was. But he came out and did his little pop-locking deal. Jabberwockies are the ones with the white masks on. They've got sort of a whole team routine. But Stephen A., look, I got to say, I'm not one to critique anybody's dance skills. And I saw this right after it happened, so I heard what he said about it. And he made a very good point. He said, I don't consider myself a dancer, but I got rhythm, which is something that I identify with. I'm not going to embarrass myself on the dance floor, but not embarrassing yourself on the dance floor, being able to dance with a date, and then isolating yourself to a solo moment on national television, whoa, those are separate things. I don't know if I could have done what Stephen A. Smith did. And I could dance well enough to get by. I got enough moves. Myron Medcalf, who joined us earlier on the program, he can answer that. Last time I saw him, we were dancing to Cardi B in New Orleans. It was awesome. NABJ, shout out. But I don't know if I could have pulled what Stephen A. Smith pulled today. That's not easy to do. Dancing not just in front of people, but in front of cameras and keeping it together and added a little something to it, too. He didn't just do the routine. He didn't just do the required. He put a little stank on it, a little sauce, if you will. Stephen A. just went up a notch in my book. Shaq's, by the way, was at the 2009 NBA All-Star Game if you want to go check that out on YouTube. But make sure you check out Stephen A. first. He had the Jordans going. Pretty smooth. I'm impressed, brother. You know, nothing makes a summer birthday or anniversary more magical than 1-800-Flowers.com. Right now, when you order a dozen multicolored roses for only $29.99, you'll get another dozen absolutely free. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. Straight ahead, the Celtics and the Cavs pulled off the biggest offseason move in the NBA, but did either get closer to the Warriors? We'll discuss that next. It's The Right Time with Bomani Jones on ESPN Radio. I'm Clinton Yates. Today's Friday, kiddos.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
I'm Clinton Yates, filling in here on a Friday. By the by, baseball season's heating up. Tune in tomorrow as my Nationals host the Mets. It's presented by Hum, and coverage begins at 3 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPNRadio.com, and the ESPN app. Some of you might know that the NBA is still in full swing because the offseason in many minds is better than the regular season. But the blockbuster trade that went down between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics was one that the NBA has never seen before. 1 and 2 in the Eastern Conference. They swapped their 2-point guards in something we haven't seen in a long time. Kyrie Irving goes to the Celtics. Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, some guy whose name I forgot, and the Nets pick goes to the Cavs. Now, there's a couple things about this. Those of you who have listened to me for a while on this network know that for a while I was sort of knocking Danny Ainge. Excuse me. Because I said he's got one too many choices to make with all those assets and a fan favorite on his side. And the big, big problem of a monster blowout at home in the playoffs in front of America. Now, I caught a lot of heat for saying that. I said, I don't really like the position the Celtics are in. People are like, oh, that's just because you're a Wizards fan. You talking about the Zardos. You mad because they beat them. No, it's not it at all. I just know that sometimes some people, if you've got to make 5 chess moves versus 2 checkers moves, it's pretty difficult to do the former versus the latter. And I said, somebody's got to go when you get banged by 50 points on your home floor in the playoffs to the Boston Celtics. You ain't the Grizzlies. You're not some side squad that's not even used to being there. You get popped by 5-0 or nearly 5-0. Something's got to change. But the problem is the only thing that could change was getting rid of either a guy you had locked up for a while or a guy you spent a lot of money on, and Al Horford, or getting rid of your fan favorite player. That's what my position was. Something has to change. You can't just bring in somebody in the offseason. You can't just draft a guy and get a guy with top picks and cap space. Something larger than that has to change, and something did. But what they gave up is confusing to me. You're telling me that that package couldn't have gotten Paul George? You're telling me that that package couldn't have found its way to a Jimmy Butler? Why does that matter? Because getting Kyrie is one thing. But he plays for the team that just smoked you on the way to the NBA Finals. In a vacuum, it is a great pickup. However, the other people inside that nasty vacuum bag we call the Eastern Conference are LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. You might have gotten maybe better within yourself, but you didn't get better versus them. And they are the hurdle. So while this doesn't make this entirely stupid, in my opinion, it is a bit quizzical from a long-term strategy standpoint. You can't tell me that Ainge can go out and then sell, hey, we can win now, to Celtics fans. Let's hear what he had to say about what it's like getting a player like Kyrie.
I think it's extremely rare to be able to trade for a 25-year-old player that's done what he's done in his career and the offensive weapon that he is. And, we know we're paying a heavy price, and we love the guys that were here, and we didn't really want to give up any of those pieces to make this deal work, but we're excited to have Kyrie.
Why, yes, it is extremely rare. You know what else is extremely rare?
LeBron James.
And as long as that guy's hanging around, making trades with his team that send your best overall player, your best defensive player, and a pick to that team, it means that you have basically admitted there's no way you're getting past them until he decides to leave. Which may be next year. And if that's the case, then Danny Ainge, well played. I don't think this is a horrible move. But I do think it states very plainly, y'all know y'all can't beat LeBron. So y'all are going to help him get better in the short term? I just don't get it. I just don't get it unless he's going to come out and say that. And he sort of did as much. Let's hear what Danny Ainge, Celtics GM, had to say about how non-easy it was to pull the trigger on this deal.
It presented itself. It wasn't available earlier in the summer, this same opportunity. And these are very difficult decisions, as you can imagine. We face these difficult decisions at all times during the year. You never know when something may present itself, but an opportunity for us presented itself, even though it is a high price tag. It is a great value that we're giving up. We love Isaiah and love Jay Crowder, and we're just getting to know Ante Zizic, who we've watched and nurtured over the last year, and giving up a quality first-round pick. But, acquiring a 25-year-old perennial all-star, a player that, fits a timeline for us and is a fantastic offensive player, is one of the best offensive players in the league. You have to pay a heavy price.
Ante Zizic is the guy whose name I forgot. But like I said, I think this deal makes sense potentially. Still got a lot of assets out there in Boston. There was one problem, though. Holla at me in 2023. Because these next 4 years, they ain't going to be nothing if you got to rely on rookies to start. Things also going to be a little awkward in Cleveland with your man Jay Crowder potentially being involved with D. Rose's high school girlfriend. That's a different discussion for a different show. Straight ahead, ESPN Sal Powell joins us from Vegas. What are the fighters saying? What are their trainers saying? What are the fans saying in Sin City? Sal Paulo Antonio joins us next. I'm Clinton Yates filling in for Bomani Jones. It's the right time on ESPN Radio.
The right time with Bomani Jones.
I'm Clinton Yates filling in here on a Friday, and ESPN Radio is brought to you by Pennzoil Synthetics. Taking synthetic motor oil performance to a whole new level. Make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today. On the Shell Pennzoil Performance line right now is ESPN reporter Sal Paulo Antonio live from Vegas. Sal, let me ask you quickly, on an electricity scale from 1 to 10, where is today versus all the other days of the week that you've been there?
About a 25.
Wow.
You weren't expecting that answer, were you?
No, I was not, Sal Paulo.
I did not impress easily. I've covered all the biggest sporting events in the world, 2 presidential campaigns, the mayoral campaign in Philadelphia, gubernatorial campaigns all over the country. I would have to say that McGregor-Mayweather is the biggest event I've ever covered in my life. I've never seen this kind of press of people come from all over the world. The anticipation is now, it's absolutely cosmic.
Wow. All right, well, it sounds like you're at the weigh-in. Do you think this guy's going to make weight, and what's going on around you? Sounds pretty loud.
I'm at the weigh-in at T-Mobile, and they're weighing in the undercard guys. We're just waiting for Mayweather and McGregor to arrive shortly. That part of it is going to be about 3 p.m. I apologize if you can't hear me, but there's several factors that lead me to be a little hyperbolic here. One is the amount of money being bet is off the charts. They now have, it's now the largest gross gambling amount on any boxing event in the United States history. So there's that one, maybe worldwide. 2, the number of pay-per-views is off the charts. It's going to set a record. 3, you have an international influx of people all over the world. England and Ireland have made a little colonial enclaves here in Las Vegas. Everywhere you go, you just see large numbers of people coming in from all across England and Ireland, and now Mexico, and all over Central and South America. And I was told that I-15 from L.A. is almost a parking lot.
Wow.
They're expecting 300,000 extra people. We talked to Sergeant Tom Jenkins, who's the head of the Homeland Security Operation for the Nevada PD. Yesterday he came in and gave us a briefing, and he said that they're expecting 300,000 people. They've already got evidence of gangbangers from L.A., Chicago, New York, Miami, across the border from Mexico, who have come in and are ready to make all kinds of crazy trouble because they know the amount of people and money that is going to be on the street in Las Vegas.
We're talking with ESPN reporter Sal Paolantonio, who's live from Vegas. I mean, I wasn't expecting you to take that left turn, but I'll ask you to follow up on that. Do you think it's possible that this event is marred by some situation that resorts to violence?
Yeah, no, I don't know. But when you have that many people here, I think it's critical to know that the Las Vegas Police Department is aware, and they have mobilized to make sure that is not the case.
All right, well, Teddy Atlas said an interesting thing. He said that he thinks that if McGregor finds a way to win this fight, it is absolutely devastating to the sport of boxing because people just won't be able to take it seriously. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, it's hard for me to know. I mean, Teddy Atlas is more of an expert on that situation than me. Right now, I'm just embedded with Mayweather, and I'm trying to report on what I see. You know, I'm a reporter, covers the NFL, has covered all kinds of things. And to me, this is a feast of journalism, right? There's so much going on here on so many cultural and sporting layers that I'm trying to be aware of exactly what's going on at all times. And I think I'm going to let the post-fight analysis after speculation to be left for others. I'm going to go back to covering the NFL next week. Right now, I'm interested in how this thing is going to go down in the next 48 hours. And right now, I'm fascinated by two things: the amount of money being gambled, how it's being gambled, and the number of people from all over the world who are descending on this city to be part of a unique cultural event. And then, just in the microcosm of things, what is McGregor's weight going to be today? And then move on from there. And then tomorrow we'll get into the nitty-gritty of the fight. So I'm trying to take it one play at a time.
I hear you. All right. Well, last thing I'll ask you then, Sal, is what has been the craziest thing you've seen individually to this point in the Mayweather camp?
Well, I haven't seen crazy. What I have seen is an intensity like I've never seen before. Wednesday night was really one of the biggest nights of my career in terms of what I saw. I was invited by Mayweather to be the only reporter, bring my camera into his last gym workout prior to the fight. And if it's his last fight, his last gym workout in his gym. So the word went out to all of his friends and supporters and family, and the friends and supporters of family of all of his proteges. Come to the gym Wednesday night, 7 p.m. So I got a call from one of his friends and said, "You're invited." So I went, and I was the only reporter there. And I was 5 feet from Mayweather in that gym while he worked out at a ferocious and violent pace for 3 hours on the bag. We shot it. Duncan Morgan, my cameraman, did a great job of shooting it. We put it on SportsCenter that night. And for 3 hours, we watched him work out. And it was really intense. And there were children there from ages 3 to 18 watching it up close and personal. And they saw something that was historic and special to watch this man who's been so successful in his boxing career work out. His last workout in his own gym. And then he blew me away. I'll tell you, he blew me away. About 11 o'clock, he says, "We're going running." and all of his proteges go out on the street on the asphalt, 90 degrees, and they run for 40 minutes after a 3-hour workout. I mean, I was blown away by that.
Wow. All right. Well, he's ESPN reporter Sal Paolantonio. He's live in Las Vegas, and he is witnessing what he says is the biggest event of his life. Thank you, Sal. All right. Well, that was interesting. The weigh-in is obviously noisy. Talk about Mayweather blew him away. To hear Sal Paolantonio say this is the most intense thing he's been to, covered in his life. What? Might have to buy this fight. I mean, what are we talking about? That sounded crazy. Mayweather's doing 3-hour workouts and then running with his boys on the asphalt in Vegas, then showing up to gentlemen's clubs at 5 a.m. Man, apparently this is real. Everybody's all bought in. I knew this was going to happen. They were going to ramp it up early, tone it down, and then once it hit Vegas, everybody was like, I got to be there. I got to stunt. I want everybody to know I got cash. And that's exactly what happened. I'm going to have to buy this fight. Not sure enough, though. You know what I'm going to do? My final vote. I'm going to pull on my parents. Straight ahead, we jump into some NFL and college football we're going to see this weekend. Maybe. We're probably going to talk more about the fight. I'm Clinton Yates, in for Bomani Jones. It's The Right Time on ESPN Radio.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
I'm Clinton Yates, filling in here on a Friday. And if you want to give me a phone call, 888-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Of course, ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Trying to decide if I'm going to buy this fight, y'all. Sal Paolantonio joined us last segment live from Vegas. Sounded like a madhouse. Apparently, gangbangers from all over the globe are coming to descend upon Vegas to enjoy the festivities in one way or another. I'm leaning towards buying this fight. I don't know. 1-888-ESPN, 1-888-729-3776. Tony in Minnesota. What are your thoughts?
Hey, Deb.
What's up, man? You're on the air.
Awesome. Okay, I will pay for the fight for you. Just don't take me out and romance me. That'd be kind of fantastic. Here's the kicker. I got a different take on this fight. What if it's Mayweather just goes in? I mean, this is what I think is going to happen, and totally just beats McGregor up so bad and kind of embarrasses how he's the best fighter in MMA, and start to realize that none of these guys are really good at any one thing, and they're all just kind of mediocre at all of them. And it actually just establishes how great boxing is. Obviously, I'm a boxing fan, but
so you're going for a potential a jack of all trades, master of none type situation where Mayweather comes in there and embarrasses the entire sport, not just McGregor.
Exactly, because nobody's talking about that. They're like, well, he's going to win no matter what if he stands up and hangs out with him or whatever. And it's like, how about just establish that none of these guys are really that good at boxing, and maybe just boxing. And then also one other take on everybody picking the race deal, and it's everybody's I'm rooting for McGregor. This isn't Jordan Spieth fighting Mayweather here, okay? So it's like in all reality, picking that one or the other side is kind of obvious to me. So
what's your setup going to be, Tony?
I'm going to be at a friend's house in a garage, and he says he has a lack of chairs, so we all have to bring a chair. So fair.
All right, Tony. Good phone call. Thank you. Went for the second take. Risky maneuver, executed it well. He got out on a limb, had a bit of a stumble, regained composure, and finished at the hoop. I liked that phone call, Tony. 1-888-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Tyler, I don't know what happens if Mayweather wins. You tell me.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you there. What'd you say?
I said, I don't know what happens if Mayweather wins. You tell me.
Oh, yeah. I think Mayweather probably will win, but I'm really hoping McGregor does, and I hope he knocks him out. I don't think that will happen, unfortunately, and yes, I will be watching. I'm actually driving to South Carolina to my friend Mike's house now to go watch the fight that he's buying, so I'm not personally buying it. I don't think you should either. You should get on that train. Go somewhere, go to a friend's house who's buying it, and watch it with them.
Okay, hold on here, Tyler. Hold on here, Tyler. How far are you driving to go to this friend's house?
From Atlanta.
So, I mean, how many hours is that, if I may ask?
3.5 maybe.
Whoa, that's a trip.
Yeah, I do it. I do it about once a month, anyways, and so we kind of scheduled our, I guess, August trip, or not really around this, but we said, hey, this flight's coming up. Let's do it this weekend. So it's pretty normal for me to go up there, and this flight just made it happen a little bit earlier than normal.
All right. Thanks for the phone call.
So,
that's a decent setup. He's taking a roadie. Taking a roadie for the trip. I didn't go anywhere to watch the eclipse, and I'm dang sure not going anywhere to watch this fight. Clinton Yates filling in here on the right time for Bomani Jones. 1-888-ESPN, 1-888-729-3776. Brian in Connecticut, how are you?
Hey, Clinton, how you doing tonight?
Tremendous.
That's good. Yeah, I just don't see a way that McGregor's going to win. Not a big Floyd Mayweather fan, but I don't see any conspiracy theory. I mean, he's a boxer. The record's going to be important to him. And I'm 100% with you with Kaepernick. Cops kill people with impunity. It's just very strange that people are okay with that. I don't understand. But anyway, I won't watch the fight. I won't spend my money. I think Mayweather should beat him easily. And hope you have a great weekend.
Thanks for the phone call. Decent take, low enthusiasm, but he got it out, and he finished it on a nice note. 1-888-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Lamont in South Dakota, what's good?
So, hey.
You're on the air.
How you doing? So, this fight, I guess the main reason I'm looking forward to it, I'm a huge Timberwolves fan. Nothing really going on in the summer. Waiting for that Jimmy Butler, combo to be showing up. But I guess it's not the Canelo Triple G fight. We're not going to be getting supreme boxing. But it'll be fun to see these two kind of jerks punch around each other for a bit.
Thanks for the phone call. Yeah, sure. 1-888-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Decent phone call. Quickly, Chris in North Carolina.
Clinton, what's good?
I'm good, fam.
Good. Hey, so I got a take, and I'm going to throw this out there, and I haven't heard anybody say this, but I could be wrong. So Mayweather is clearly going to embarrass McGregor. All right, let's be honest about that. But what if they throw it back for the rematch and they say we put it in the boxing event. Now we're going to go ahead. We're going to take it to an octagon and see what happens there.
Is that something you really want to see as a fight fan, or is that something you think would actually even this out from a competition standpoint?
I think from a competition standpoint, it's going to make it a little bit more fair. I don't think that anybody can really sit there and say, hey, MMA isn't a real true fight, or the caller a couple calls a second ago said the master of none, the jack of all trades, master of none. I mean, these guys that are MMA fighters, these guys are tremendous athletes, and they are extremely talented fighters, and they can take you out in 100 different ways, And so it would be really interesting to me, I think, if you had the opportunity to see it go the other direction as well.
Thanks for the phone call, Chris. Good idea. Fred in Maryland, quickly, tell me your setup and how long you think it's going to go.
I'm going to be at the Green Turtle in Ocean City, Maryland. I think it's going to go 2 rounds. I don't think you should spend the money on it.
Thanks for the phone call, Fred. That's how you do it. Get in, get out. That was a great phone call. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Shout out to the Green Turtle, which if you listen locally in D.C., that is hilarious on so many different levels. Straight ahead, Max Kellerman from First Take. He's been in Vegas all week, and I need to know why he wasn't dancing with Stephen A. and the Jabberwockies. I'm Clinton Yates. I'm filling in for Bomani Jones. It's the right time on ESPN Radio. Remember, hit us up on the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed, at Clinton Yates, at ESPN Radio. Let me know if you think I should buy this fight. I'm going to ask my dad at the end of the show. Clinton Yates, filling in on a Friday.
Thanks for listening to the Right Time Podcast. Please come back Monday for more. And don't forget to listen to The Right Time with Bomani Jones from 4 p.m. to 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
You're listening to Love Advice with Leanne. Caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Leanne. Longtime listener, first-time caller. Why, in your professional opinion, do you never take my calls off the air?
Is this Carl?
Yep, it's Carl. I mean, we had a few dates. Everything was great. I thought,
Well, when you switch to Geico, you could save a lot of money on car insurance.
Okay, awesome.
You should call them.
I will.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Welcome to the Right Time Podcast. The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Gotta open the comic book to see just who the villain be. It's me. I'm Clint Yates filling in here on The Right Time with Bomani Jones on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and SiriusXM Channel 80. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. And joining us right now on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line after spending the week in Vegas is First Takes Max Kellerman. Max, I got to ask you off top, need the letter grade on Stephen A's Jabberwockies performance? And B, why you weren't involved with said intro?
I don't do that kind of stuff. I mean, I can pop. Listen, I used to pop and break back in the day, but I'm not doing that on national TV 30 years later. And I would give Stephen A B+. I gave him a B+ for that, maybe even an A-.
I was going to say, because, look, it's one thing to be able to have enough rhythm to get by in a crowded room. It's another thing to be able to have enough moves to get by with a dance partner in a squad. It's a whole other thing to go solo, as you said, on national TV and add a little extra to it. I was impressed with the gumption as much as I was with the actual ability to dance.
Well, he started slow because when he tried to wiggle, his electric boogie to start was you could see how rusty he was. So then He gave that up and went into more of the Jabberwockies thing, and he did better than the old popping stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty good. We're talking with First Takes Max Kellerman. He was obviously in Vegas all week. Right now, just what is your biggest takeaway from all of the things you saw before we get into the specificities of the storylines of the fight?
The biggest takeaway is the reason this is a big event, other than the fact that, we still sell sports through storytelling, and these are two characters that everyone knows. They're around the same size, so they're crossing over disciplines because these are just the two characters that people are most invested in combat sports. So that's the reason it's a big event. But more than that, what Floyd and I think also Conor realized going into this, maybe just intuitively, is that the nature of the media, it's a structural issue more than anything. It's not like anyone's, in back rooms going, hey, media guys, can you pretend that this is going to be a competitive event? Nothing like that. It's that over time, when you talk about a fight every day, and the fact that they, scheduled this in late August, that's all there is to talk about, basically.
Right.
And, very few people are going to come in every day and be like, Floyd's going to kill him, Floyd's going to beat him, Floyd's going to beat him. After a while, it's boring. You want more things to say. So people and producers and everybody in the media, editors start thinking, well, how could Conor win the fight, right? You start to dissect it and look at it from every angle. And so then people start thinking, well, here's how Conor could win the fight. And just through not wanting to say the same thing every time, people start talking about the fight as though it's an actual athletic competition. And in fact, some of them start even buying into it. But it is not a competition. It is an exhibition. And Conor McGregor has, if I could give you a percentage less than 0, I would. It's laughable to me that anyone thinks, Floyd at minus 600 in Vegas is the greatest value bet I've ever seen. Conor McGregor is millions to 1. In fact, you're much more likely to be struck by lightning than Conor McGregor is to beat Floyd Mayweather.
One of the things
I mean that literally.
I get it. That's why I'm laughing, because I understand that is not actually a joke. It's real life probabilities. So, Max, one of the things I've said, and if this is sort of offensive to the boxing world, I apologize. But I've said that, look, for the average sports fan, what I'm rooting for is a level of chaos that will come from McGregor doing something illegal that is going to start a 40-man brawl and send everybody over the edge, either a roundhouse to the face or some other move that either comes instinctually or intentionally from McGregor because he's either losing or just can't remember how to box. Do you think there's any chance that this moves outside of the structure of an actual boxing match?
Yes, there's a good chance. I wouldn't say it's a better chance than just McGregor getting knocked out, but it's like probably the third most likely scenario. The first is Floyd beats him up and knocks him out, or maybe it's the fourth. The second is Conor fights off his back foot the whole time because he doesn't, want to come in on different decision. I think that's unlikely. Much more likely Floyd knocks him out. The third is that when they're in a clinch, Conor wants to show him who's boss and kind of throws him down. Not necessarily the kind of thing you're talking about, but throws him down and dislocates Floyd's shoulder or something like that. And then I think what you're describing is like the fourth most likely scenario, that Conor is frustrated in some way or doesn't want to be humiliated in some way and does something to DQ himself. That said,
do we lose Max?
You know, his fighting career does not suggest that. He has a champion's heart, and you never know what happens if someone's essentially being undressed in front of millions of people and they feel humiliated. But I don't see him going out like a punk. I don't think he's going to.
That's First Takes. Max Kellerman joining us on the Shell Penzo Performance Line after spending the week in Vegas. Having some trouble with his phone line here. But I'm kind of happy about the fact that he didn't think that my theory is ridiculous. It could happen. Chaos alert. Ring the alarm. I mean, look, I don't think it's an unreasonable thing to root for. And I don't think it's an unrealistic chance of it happening. I know I'm just saying it because, you know, it sounds a little different, but for real. This is not outside of the realm of possibility. You getting them hands put on you, you're going to do something to make sure that you don't get embarrassed. Been in a couple fights myself. You got to figure out a way to do something. Just because you're getting a lot of money doesn't mean that your pride isn't something. This matters. Conor McGregor, he's talked all that trash for a reason. He's got to believe in his heart that he can at least make this something. Something that will hold up his reputation as more than just a dude who is an MMA guy. And if I'm thinking about this from Mayweather's camp side, that's where I'm thinking McGregor's trying to go. He's trying to find a way to just get a reputation that's a little bigger than just being that dude from Ireland in MMA. That involves embarrassing Mayweather with trash talk. He's not really going to be able to do that. That involves potentially throwing him to the ground. Okay. That involves hurting him with a move that he otherwise hadn't seen. There's that too. Max, you back?
I'm back.
All right, well, let me say this. Teddy Atlas said that he worries that if Conor manages to pull this off, it'll be the biggest embarrassment for boxing and it'll basically kill the sport. I don't believe that. What do you think about that opinion?
Well, no, if Conor can't pull it off. If you want me to say, just humor me as a thought experiment, what if it happened? Then I would say the world just became a more interesting place because it revolutionized the way you'd have to think about, you know, combat sports. And you know, it would go right. It would make me question all the knowledge that I think that I'm certain of. You know, I mean, So, but the reason it would do that is because it's not going to happen. You know, it would be as though there was a badminton player, and it's a female badminton player, and she was a competitive college tennis player, but now she's the best badminton player in the world. And now she wants to play Serena Williams, having never played tennis since she was in college. Right. What would the odds be that she could beat Serena Williams? What would the odds be that she could get a point off Serena Williams? Which is why I'm telling you that
well, it's a tremendous analogy. And with Serena Williams being my favorite athlete of all time, I understand it. I didn't get to ask him if he thinks I should buy the fight, though. I'm bummed. You have to ask him off the air, guys, because I really want to know his opinion. Alas. Give me a phone call. Going to stick with this. 888-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Paul in Pennsylvania, what's up?
How you doing, buddy?
Tremendous.
You know, I like listening to your show. I love your views. You brought up a little bit ago, I was listening, you brought up Pulp Fiction, man. That's why I like listening to you when you talk. You bring up old school stuff. I dig it. But here, to answer your question, number one, you got to watch the show. You got your show on Sunday mornings. You got to know what's going on. If your bosses don't pay you for that, you're doing something wrong. And then you can take it off your taxes because it's a business expense. But here, look, I got two college kids. They both go to Penn State, a freshman and a senior. They're coming home tomorrow with like 15 of their friends that I got to watch. I got to pay for that fight. And then I got to pay for the both of them to go out after it and another $150.
No,
So
you got to lay down the law, Paul. It's one or the other. You either have them at your house or they go out and fund it on their own. You can't be letting them gallivant and walk all over you like that.
Clinton, they've worn me down, bro. I'm a retired Marine, 20 years.
Thank you for your service.
Well, my pleasure. I appreciate it. I'll stand in front of you for whatever you have to say because you got the right to say it, my friend. But I'm worn down. They've worn me down. I think a lot of the boxing guys brought up the points. He ain't going to beat Mayweather. The guy's the best defensive fighter of all time, and he's not going to get into trouble. He's going to make this guy into a punching bag.
Right.
That's how it's going to go. I love Mayweather for it. I'm a boxing freak, and he's the best. Enjoy, buddy. Thanks.
Thanks for the phone call, Paul. A-plus phone call right there, y'all. Weaves in family experience. Gets a little back and forth in. When I start screaming, it doesn't get angry. Take notes from Paul in Pennsylvania. Max, by the way, says, just know what you're buying. Buyer beware, but go ahead and buy it. That's where I'm leaning. God, I wish I could get that little 20% insurance plan. Why haven't they invented this yet? I would almost be willing to pay a larger total for the option to have that option. There's a part of me that would pay $125 if I knew that if I didn't turn it on, I wouldn't have to pay it. But I could if I chose. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, comparing rates to help you save. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today to find out how much Progressive could save you. Straight ahead, might have to talk a little baseball. They're fighting there, too. I'm Clinton Yates, filling in for Bomani Jones. It's the right time on ESPN Radio.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Sliding into the weekend, it's the right time with Bomani Jones on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and Sirius XM Channel 80. My name is Clinton Yates, filling in here on a Friday. By the by, tune in to an NL East rivalry on Sunday Night Baseball as my Nationals host the Mets. Coverage of Sunday Night Baseball begins at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPNRadio.com, and the ESPN app, and at 8 p.m. on ESPN. On the television right now, got this weigh-in. Conor McGregor out here doing wild poses with some terrible-looking glasses and even worse-looking headphones on walking into the weigh-in. That's not an intimidating look at all, by the by. Floyd Mayweather's got his goons with him. Very low on the goon rating. They look like big dudes, but they look like big, nice dudes. I'd rather have some medium-sized, mean-looking guys than some extra big, nice-looking guys. That's just me from a security detail standpoint. But they're weighing in here. And as an aside, quickly, I want to say that this is where I think Mayweather has a monster advantage, which is that for all of this ancillary stuff, McGregor might have been in some big spots. McGregor's probably fought in the biggest of the MMA fights. But he ain't seen nothing like this. He ain't seen nothing on the level of this fashion of stage. He's getting fired up right now because he can't handle it. He is not used to this. And there is a very serious possibility that he could just plain lose the psychological advantage on top of the fact that he basically has zero physical advantage. So understand that. Anyway, speaking of fighting, for those of you who hear me on this network a fair amount, you know that I'm a big baseball fan. Baseball is my favorite sport. It's the sport I care about the most. Thursday at Comerica Park in Detroit, the Tigers and the Yankees got into it, and it was ugly. Discipline has been issued to members of both squads as a result of the bench clearing incident, and Joe Torre has made his announcement. Tigers first baseman Miggy Cabrera has received a 7-game suspension for inciting the bench clearing incident and fighting. Yankees catcher Gary Sanchez received a 4-game suspension for fighting, including throwing punches. Tigers pitcher Alex Wilson has received a 4-game suspension for intentionally throwing at Todd Frazier, while warnings were already in place. Yankees catcher Austin Romine received a 2-game suspension for fighting, including throwing punches, and Tigers manager Brad Ausmus has received a 1-game suspension for the intentional actions of Wilson while warnings were in place. All 5 individuals also received undisclosed fines as part of their discipline. Others who were fined for their actions during the incidents were, this is a long list, so bear with me, Yanks manager Joe Girardi, Yanks bench coach and acting manager Rob Thompson, Yanks outfielder Brett Gardner, he was hot, by the way, Yankees pitcher Tommy Kahn, Tiger shortstop Jose Iglesias, and in addition, 2 members of the Yankees, first baseman Garrett Cooper and outfielder Clint Frazier, received fines for entering the field while on the disabled list. I love that fine, by the way. That's like the best side note fine of all time. That's the come on, fam fine. What are you doing? You're on the DL. I know you're not the Dodgers. trying to find ways to game the system on the 10-day DL because you got too many pitchers that you can't figure out how to rotate, so you're just going to act like they're all sort of injured so you can get them all in. Different discussion. But you're on the DL, you can't be jumping on the field to fight. At least walk slowly. Unless appealed, all the suspensions are scheduled to be effective tonight when the Yankees are to host the Mariners and the Tigers are to visit the White Sox. If any player elects to appeal, then the discipline issued to him will be held in abeyance unless the process is complete. In addition, if Wilson chooses to appeal his discipline, Ausmus's suspension will be effective the same day that Wilson serves his, if any. You know when you're sick or you're acting like you're sick and you call the boss and you give the courtesy cough? I'm a little sick. I'm not going to be able to come in today. If you're coming into the fight off the DL, you got to give one of those. You got to have like a big cartoon-sized cast or like crutches or something. You got to make it obvious that you are hurt and you're coming in out of solidarity with the squad. Not because you might be lying about the fact that you're a little hurt or your recovery happened a little faster than it needed to. But it's funny that that's actually a penalty to come off the bench when you're disabled. But coming out and just hollering and screaming is not really a problem unless you punch somebody. That said, a couple things we got to go over about this fight. First of all, Miggy hasn't been able to connect all year. Certainly couldn't connect when he was fighting either. Hands were a little low, although he cleared space for the hands pretty well. My favorite baseball player, Roughneck Odor, as I like to call him, who knows how to connect when it comes down to fighting. He sort of perfected this moves on the base pass. Because a lot of times you'd see guys in Major League Baseball fight, and it would come in a difficult situation. At the end of a run to the mound, like it's hard to throw punches when you're running. And you have to stop, and then everybody sort of decided what they're going to do. And then it's a little bit more difficult from a punches thrown and landed standpoint. My man Odor, which, by the way, he's been doing this since the minor leagues. If you want to look up something and see some fights, go back to Roughneck Odor's. And yes, I call him Roughneck. Understandably why. Go back, check him out, fighting in the minors. When he banged out Joey Bats that one time, he popped up, cleared him just enough room to be able to get that 1-2 in, hit him so hard his helmet fell off, as did his shades, and his chain did a 360. That's the going technique in Major League Baseball now. Miggy Cabrera tried it. He got to it. But he didn't connect on any of the punches. And he ended up getting tackled. If you're going to clear the room to actually throw the full punches, you got to be able to connect. All that being said, the beanball culture in baseball is completely idiotic. If for no other reason, it's just a massive waste of time. All this nonsense about the code of the game and this, that, and the third. There's a reason for it, and I get it. And I understand why it happens. Sure, these fights might have been entertaining on some level, and I might be talking about it because I have to. But it's a waste of time. And that's ultimately why I have an issue with it. But Miggy, come on, man, get your hands up. Got to learn how to get that two-piece. Especially if you're going to be challenging guys at the plate who actually have armor on. There's only one place you can hit him where he's not protected. It's in the face. He took his mask off for that reason. Miggy Cabrera's season of swings and misses continues. Straight ahead, Mina Kimes, co-host of The Morning Roast on Sunday mornings on ESPN Radio with me and Dominique Foxworth. She joins us. We're going to talk about a little bit of everything, including, of course, the Seattle Seahawks. I'm Clinton Yates at ESPN Radio. It's The Right Time with Bomani Jones. Today's Friday, kiddos.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
You're listening to The Right Time with Bomani Jones on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and SiriusXM Channel 80. My name's Clinton Yates, filling in here on a Friday. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, and all guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. On said line right now, ESPN The Mag, Around the Horn, otherwise awesome person, and co-host of mine on The Morning Roast on ESPN Radio with Dominique Foxworth.
Tug emoji.
Mina Kimes. Hey, Mina.
Hey, happy Friday.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. What do you think I'm doing right now? What do you think I'm preparing for?
Probably The Morning Roast, but I guarantee you that Lenny is involved.
A Seahawks preseason game, 5 p.m. Pacific time. Week 3, baby.
My bad. I didn't even realize that, but that's a good segue so we can get right to it. Somebody whose name I should know did this whole thing where they ranked all the quarterbacks into 5 different tiers, and your boy, Russell Wilson, was a little low. What's going on with that?
Yes, so that is QB tiers, and it's fascinating. Every season, Mike Sando talks to executives, scouts, whatever people around. I think actually executives, GMs. It's all anonymous around the league, and then he uses a system to come up with rankings based on that. So it's kind of a informal consensus, if you will. It's not what Sando thinks, but it's what they think, and it is a little crazy. I mean, Wilson, they're taking into account the fact that he was hurt last season and played behind a trash offensive line, but they know how good he is. So it's a little preposterous to me, to be honest.
So what is your routine for this game? I'm sure you've got Lenny the dog, and you're going to have another setup. What's your situation tonight for week 3?
I got a new hat. I get a new hat every year, so I will be sharing some images of that hat probably. I went old school this year. It's the royal blue. But, week 3 is for the heads, the preseason heads. It's always the best one because, you technically usually get to see the most of the starters. But, people are not playing as much. I think yesterday there was some disappointment. Cam Newton only played like a single series. He threw 2 passes. Coaches are really worried about their guys getting hurt. I mean, after what happened with, Odell, who can blame them?
Mina Kimes of ESPN The Magazine and Around the Horn and The Morning Roast and every other outlet you find her on. She joins us here on The Right Time with Bomani Jones. My name's Clinton Yates, filling in here. All right, forget about all the Seahawks nonsense. I know you've been watching the Mayweather lead-up. Did you see Stephen A. Smith dancing on First Take this morning?
Clinton, I did. And
I know you did. What are your thoughts?
I loved it, obviously. First of all, so I'm a Deborah Rocket fan. I think I find that stuff very entertaining. I'm a Korean woman. And what I liked about it was how much work he had obviously put into it. Like, you could tell, there'd definitely be some hotel room work in front of the mirror, some crack. Like, none of that was spontaneous, and that is why I respected it so much.
I feel like there are 3 levels of dancing. There is the I have rhythm I can keep up in a room. There is the I have enough moves to dance with a partner and potentially not embarrass myself. And the third is I can survive an isolationist situation in a group. And the third is the hardest of all of those to level up to. Do you think you could do this on national TV?
Heck no. I'm the 3 levels you described. Maybe that's why I respected it so much. Like, I'm fully in the second tier, Like, that's what we saw out of Stephen A. That was like singing a cappella. Like, that was, 100% putting himself out there. Do you think you could have done it?
I do, but I don't know that I would have taken it as seriously. I would have done something that was ostensibly silly just to sort of throw off the bit and be like, hey, I know that I'm really not that good, so I'm going to do something idiotic to make you realize that the joke's on me, and then sort of move from there. But he stuck with it and nailed it. I've got to say, I didn't know that Stephen A. had that in him myself, so I was a little bit surprised.
I wonder if the mask helps because you're like not seeing how other people perceive you, so you feel freer in a way. Maybe that plays a role in it too. I don't know, but yeah, he committed with every ounce of his body. He committed.
It was very, very good. Mina Kimes, co-host of mine on The Morning Roast with Dominic Foxworth, joins us here on The Right Time. So, about this fight, I'm trying to decide this, Mina. I've been asking people all day. We put it on the poll on ESPN Radio. Should I buy this bad boy or not?
Well, I'm not. Okay, I'll tell you my situation.
Okay.
I'm watching it, but I'm not paying to watch it. A friend of mine is, and I was like, you know what, we'll come over. I'm not, contributing financially to this, although that's probably shady reasoning. Like if you really push on it, I certainly have no moral authority just by virtue of that.
Right.
It's just hard for me, given our jobs, not to. And also, I, like most of our peers, have been so adamant about Conor getting his butt kicked that I want to see if I'm going to look really stupid.
I hear you, but my thing is this, like, if I were not on the East Coast, I would actively be out watching this. And if somebody invited me over, I would. But this late night nonsense, I don't want to be out that late. I don't want to be at somebody's house. And I don't even want people at my house at that hour because I don't like kicking people out. But Mina, this is what I was saying earlier in the show. I want a system where you can sort of pre-buy and say, hey, if I pay a premium up front and I don't actually turn it on, I don't have to pay all of the money on the back end. But if I do, you have to pay for it. So let's just say I could have it, and then I could go out, and I say, you know what? I paid $125 for this thing. You know, you pay a premium. In order for me to be able to say, you know what, if I get bored of who I'm out with, or if it just isn't working for me, or if it just gets too late, I can just go home and flick it on, and then I know I'll still have it. But if I don't actually do that, I don't get paid the full price. Do you think this is a good idea?
Interesting. So it's like the old man contingency plan.
It is the
My
old
parents
man
could really
contingency
benefit from this. Because they'll go to movies and they fall asleep, and I'm like, it's a shame you can't get your money back for being old. Sounds like you want something like that.
Yeah,
I'm not hating it. I think it's a good idea.
Well, you know, not all of us are willing to just act like we've read, you know, seen movies and then read the Wikipedia pages. So, you know,
I don't know what you're talking about. I see tons of movies.
So, what are your thoughts about the Seahawks overall, getting back to that this preseason? Have they shown you what you wanted? Do you like what they've done? Where are we at?
Well, going back to the injuries thing, last week, the left tackle, who was not good by any means, but he was the starting left tackle, went down, out for the season. So today I'm going to be looking to see how the fill-in left tackle does. They're giving a couple guys a shot at it. They traded for a guy from Philadelphia. That's pretty much the main question mark right now with the Seahawks. You know, Russell Wilson will probably play. I would say Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson will probably play most of the first half. So it should be good. I watched your boy, Miami J. I watched the full half of him yesterday. He looked pretty good.
I saw a sack fumble, though.
He did fumble. He did come on stick color. Like, he did a little bit of fumble, a little bit of deep ball, a little bit of interception, a little bit of touchdown. It's like the spice of life. He did look crazy in that Miami jersey, though. It was, like, very surreal to see him in turquoise.
Miami J. I'm pretty excited about it. She's Mina Kimes. You can catch her on the Morning Roast with me and Dominic Foxworth, or on Around the Horn with other people. Kate Fagan's filling in, by the way, this week. I saw that. Saw her earlier this week. And, of course, in ESPN the Magazine. Thank you, Mina.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon. Say hi to Lenny for me. Lenny's her dog, for those of you who don't listen to the Morning Roast. What's wrong with you? You obviously should be doing that. It's clearly the great show. Straight ahead, my final decision on what I'm going to do regarding this fight. I've asked my dad. I will read you those text messages coming up. And we're going to shout out to Maryland in the best place you got to watch the fight this weekend. I'm Clayton Yates. It's The Right Time on ESPN Radio.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
You're listening to The Right Time with Bomani Jones on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and SiriusXM Channel 80. My name's Clinton Yates. Getting you through a Friday. Want to thank everybody who joined the program today. ESPN's Myron Medcalf. He came on to talk about Mayweather-McGregor, and we discussed a little bit the Florida State-Alabama game that's happening on Saturday night, in case you didn't know that, if you're looking for something to do before this bout. Master Tesfatsion of the Washington Post came on to talk about the Browns' anthem protest. He wrote a tremendous story about how the youngest team in the league managed to pull all of this together and got one of the white guys on the team to kneel with them, a first in the league. That was a fascinating discussion because that story goes deeper than just what happened on the player and on the field level. It gets into the locker room level all the way up the line. So I'm happy that happened. Sal Paolantonio joined us from Las Vegas. He was live at the weigh-in. He had quite a few things to say and said it was the most intense thing he's ever covered in his career. That was a full-blown shocker to me. And it was to him as well on many levels. He discussed what it's been like hanging out with the Mayweather camp all week, including being an exclusive reporter at his final workout at his gym before going down here for the fight night. Max Kellerman joined us of First Take. He said that Conor's got no shot, Conor McGregor, that is. Kellerman's disdain for the entire competitive aspect of this fight has been something that's entertained me all summer. He used an analogy that said, it's like if somebody who was a badminton player who played tennis in college decided that she wanted to take on Serena Williams and thought she could win. That was how he graded this competition. And lastly, Mina Kimes joined us. You know her from ESPN the Magazine, Around the Horn, and, of course, The Morning Roast, Sunday mornings, 9 a.m. to noon on ESPN Radio. Clinton Yates and Dominic Foxworth are joining her. She talked about her Seahawks and how she's watching the third preseason game with much interest because she's a big Seahawks fan. But let's get to the important matters of the day from the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed at ESPN Radio. All right, Kat, we're not going to do these in the order listed here. We're going to do them in reverse order with the most important question coming last. First question. Could you have pulled off Stephen A. Smith's dance from First Take this morning? Kat, please let us know what the results were.
So a lot of people were impressed by what he did. I don't think he was personally impressed with what he did, but a lot of people liked it.
All right, so what do we have?
65% no.
65% no. At least you all are honest. Because like I said, there's 3 tiers to dancing. Dancing well enough to be out there on the floor, dancing well enough to impress a partner, and dancing well enough to do it in front of other people when everybody's looking at you. Never mind national cameras. Stephen A. Smith did well with that. I could not have gone that far without at least making a mockery of it to let everybody know that I'm not serious. He took it seriously and pretty much nailed it. And he said afterwards, I have rhythm. I'm not quite a dancer. Very well said. Question 2. Would a McGregor win destroy the reputation and legacy of boxing? That's what Teddy Atlas said. Kat, results, please.
This one's almost tied. It's 51% no and 49% yes.
Ooh. Okay. This is an interesting question because as much as I think that that's a possibility, I don't know how seriously people take boxing anyway. This is sort of my whole point on this. Boxing and MMA are closer in the average sports fan's mind than I think people realize. This isn't going to change much. Of course, if McGregor pounds him, that's a different matter. But just winning, I don't necessarily know how big of a deal that is. Last but not least, the most important question. Kat, tell the people.
Should Clinton buy the fight? Now, this one is 41% yes. It's 59% no, but I think it's also 100% you should let Tony from Minnesota buy it for you because he offered.
That is very true.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, all right. The people don't think I should buy the fight, but we have to go to the final vote. He hasn't actually told me the answer, but I'm going to tell you what he said. This would be my father, Pops. Text message, should I buy the Mayweather-McGregor fight? His reply, did you mean to ask me this? I don't know nothing about boxing anymore. Did I hear correctly on the radio that Mayweather is fighting an MMA fighter? Multiple question marks. Because this was incredulous to him. What would the rules be? Also, multiple question marks. All very good questions. Thank you, Pops. I said, yes, I did ask you this for that exact reason. He wrote back, this seems to me roll over from sport to showbiz like the year the Bullets recruited Manute Bol and Muggsy Bogues together. That's all he had. No answers there, but some high-quality DC NBA hoops drops from Pops. For those of you who don't know, Manute Bol and Muggsy Bogues once played together. They were the shortest guy in the league and the tallest guy in the league at the same time. There's a very famous photograph of them together, and it was the heyday of when I was a child, and I enjoyed Bullets basketball. Back to the fight, though. Got a couple choices here. And, man, I wish my contingency plan was a real thing. I could buy it and say, yeah, I got it if I need it. But if I don't watch it, I don't press that button, y'all don't charge me. This is a tiered system for pay-per-view that Mina Kimes labeled the old man contingency plan, which is basically the story of my life these days. But then again, I don't want to miss it if we're out and something crazy happens and everybody in the place reacts in a way that I'm going to say, I'm never going to forget where I was when Conor McGregor kicked Floyd Mayweather in the face and turned the whole thing into a WWE match. No, I'm serious, though. If something really actually happens that we're all supposed to care about, and I'm just sitting like a dork on my couch, and I hear everybody on the block start screaming, I'll be upset. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm concerned it's going to be boring. I'm concerned it's going to be lame. And I'm really actually worried that it's going to be a super waste of money. Let's hear this cut, guys.
Plan A or Plan B might be for him to come in low or kick or whatever, get Floyd on the floor, pound and ground him, win, get disqualified, pay the fines, put his arms up in the air, and proclaim himself the emperor of the universe in all combat sports. And you know what? Who knows? He might even have a signed contract with some bad boy promotional company that's paying him $20 million if he does that. And even if he doesn't do it, his brand, yeah, he loses. Technically. He wins, though. His brand goes through the roof.
Can you imagine missing that? I said before, Teddy Atlas went all the way around the bases with that conspiracy theory. All I want is the brawl. I don't need for him to have any back-end money on it. Going out might cost me more than $100, but it might be worth it. Man, that would be great. You go down in the fourth, Marcellus Wallace style, talking to Butch in Pulp Fiction. That's pride messing with you. I'm rooting for chaos in this bad boy because I don't know what else to root for. But I'll tell you this. If I buy this fight and it ends up being boring, I'm blaming you, Floyd Mayweather. I'm Clinton Yates. Thanks for tuning in to ESPN Radio. It's the right time with Bomani Jones.
I'm going to be at the Green Turtle in Ocean City, Maryland.
Thanks for listening to the Right Time Podcast. Please come back Monday for more. And don't forget to listen to the Right Time with Bomani Jones from 4 p.m. to 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
You're listening to Love Advice with Leanne. Caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Leanne. Longtime listener, first-time caller. Why, in your professional opinion, do you never take my calls off the air?
Is this Carl?
Yep, it's Carl. I mean, we had a few dates. Everything was great. I thought,
Well, you know, when you switch to Geico, you could save a lot of money on car insurance.
Okay, awesome.
You should call them.
I will.
Geico, because saving 15% or more